Hey creeps, it's Cameron again, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about books, movies, writing, and all things spooky. Merry Christmas. I hope everybody is having a great day so far. I have a little bit of a Christmas gift for you, and even if you don't celebrate Christmas, this is a gift for you just the same. A little over 3 years ago, I posted a video on this channel that was a tour of my private library, and since then it has become my most viewed video on this channel. It has a little over 150,000 views. Ever since I posted that video, I have had probably, 300 comments asking me to do an updated library tour. And I've wanted to do one, but I wanted to make sure my library looked really nice and pretty and organized before I did that. But I have been reorganizing my library this year, and it's finally done and ready for you to see. So here we go. Here is an updated library tour. Alright, here is my updated library tour. What I'm going to do is start over here. I still have my reading chair, not a whole lot different. There's still this curtain that kind of separates it from the rest of the room. Makes for a nice little reading nook. On my table here I have some Harry Potter film guides. And then on my reading chair, I have the same pillow that says "A room without books is like a body without a soul." And then I have a Scooby-Doo stuffed animal. I don't know. I love Scooby-Doo, so don't judge me for having a stuffed animal in here. And then moving from the chair, I still have that quote up on the wall, the Albus Dumbledore quote. This is new. This is a Deathly Hallows plaque that my sister got me recently. And then I have this bookshelf here, which wasn't there before. I do want to put a couple more bookshelves just like it there and there. I'm just trying to find a couple that match. I still have my X-Men poster on the door. And then over here, I just have a board with some photos on it. I'm going to start using that to plot some books that I'm writing. But for now, I'm just putting a bunch of junk on it. And then down here, I just have a calendar for 2019. I'm going to use that to plan my video upload schedule. And then over here, you'll find some Halloween decorations. This is a mask that I thought was pretty cool, so I decided to mount that to the shelf. Coming over here, I have a shelf that I just recently built in front of my desk. I thought it would be a good way to utilize the extra space. And on this shelf, these are all spooky non-fiction books. So folklore, true ghost stories, ghostly encounters, books about horror films. I have a couple of horror magazines in there. Like I have one of those Time Life books, Element Encyclopedia of the Psychic World. I'm not going to go into each book. This is just going to be an overview of what I have. And then throughout 2019, I plan on doing a more in-depth tour of my library. But for now, I'm just going to focus on what's on the surface. And then up here, I just have some random decor. There's my Hogwarts letter, a Edgar Allan Poe book, and this typewriter that I got from Michael's. And then my desk, my laptop, and my Triwizard cup. So there's my desk. Panning over, I have all of my Funko Pop figures, my Disney hat I got when I was 10 years old. And this starts my horror section. I have a very large horror collection. It goes all the way over here, except for this. These are all like leather-bound books. But the horror section are these 3 shelves, this whole corner, going all the way to like right down there. So starting up here, I have a bunch of the best new horror books. Not all of them. I would like to get a complete set, but these are the only ones I have for now. And then this starts my vintage horror paperback collection. These are all in alphabetical order by the author's last name. I don't usually order my books that way, but there are so many of these, and I just thought it was easier to find the books if I did it in alphabetical order. The books are double stacked. I have, see if I can show you guys, pull these off. I have these cardboard things that I got from the library that I work at, and it worked out perfectly. They were just tall enough, so I put those underneath so they double stack really nicely. I can see what's behind. Really worked out nice. You're going to see a couple of books that are stacked that I need to put away. I still need to put a shelf right here just to give me a little extra. Coming on down. It might be a little hard to see because it gets a little bit dark down here. I need to put another shelf right there as well. So as you can see, I have some Cemetery Dance limited editions, and then this starts my like movie tie-in, TV show tie-in section. I have a ton of Buffy books. I am a huge Buffy fan. So I have almost a complete collection of all of the Buffy paperbacks. I'm missing a couple, but I have the majority of them. And then I have a ton of Angel books back there, some Charmed. And then this starts my young adult horror paperback collection. Alright, so coming on up here, I have a break in my horror collection. Here are some of my Barnes & Noble leather-bound books. Yes, I have a bunch of Barnes & Noble leather-bound editions because they're very nice for the price. They only cost like $20, $25 a piece. I usually get them half off during Black Friday. I know that they're not genuine leather. I know that they're not as nice as some of the Easton Press books. I do have a couple of Easton Press books, but they're very expensive. And I don't know. I like the Barnes & Noble ones, so I'm happy with them. People tend to give me a hard time sometimes for having so many Barnes & Noble books, but I don't know. I like them, so I bought them. Down here are some of my John Saul books, just the hardcovers. I have a bunch more of his books in paperback, but I put all of my hardcovers down here. This continues my horror section. I also have a mug here that I keep all of my bookmarks in. So here are some young adult horror books. I also have a couple of bookmarks from A Stranger Dream, the Etsy store. She makes some really cool bookmarks. You guys should definitely go check them out. Coming on down, I have a bunch of Point horror books. And then coming down here, I have all of my Fear Street books, including some of the newer ones that have come out recently. And then down here are my Christopher Pike books. I have quite a few of those. I have this bat thing that I got at Target, another bookmark from A Stranger Dream. I have a complete set of the Thirst books by Christopher Pike. Down here I have the rest of my Christopher Pike books, a couple of postcards that my boss got me when she was in Italy. I have my very small Grindhouse section right here. I need to get more of those. A couple more Stranger Dream bookmarks. There's a little coffin with a skeleton peeking out. And just a bunch of random horror books. There are a few Dan Stevens books, Ramsey Campbell, Clive Barker. Coming on up here, I have even more horror hardcovers. Move this guy out of the way. A bunch of anthologies. This is a notebook. And more horror. Here are all of my Anne Rice books. I have almost all of her books. I'm still missing a couple, but I have the majority of them. This is a really nice copy of Frankenstein. This is the 200th anniversary edition. It's gorgeous. This starts my Stephen King section. I have all of my hardcovers in the back, and then some paperbacks in the front. Same down here, hardcovers in the back and paperbacks in the front. Down here finishes up my Stephen King section. I think those are my Dark Tower books back there. Goes into Dean Koontz. I have a really old Addams Family paperback right here. Coming down here, I have an art print from the film The Legend of Boggy Creek. Spine Chillers Mysteries book, which I've never read. I just thought the cover was kind of cool. And then over here I have my Grady Hendrix books, Cemetery Gates. Here I have A Haunted Halloween by Paul Melnick. It's a really hard last name to pronounce. And let's see what's behind here. I don't even remember. Oh, a couple more V.C. Andrews books. Down on the very bottom shelf, it's just more horror hardcovers. I have some S.P. Somtow, R.L. Stine, Joe Hill, and then this is a little handheld Goosebumps game with a pack of Garbage Pail Kids cards. As you can see, I have some more horror up here, a lot of Peter Straub, some Ryan Lumley. I have a ginormous October Dreams Halloween anthology from Cemetery Dance, really nice book. Here are a few Robert R. McCammon books, The Hunger by Alma Katsu, some Dracula, and then this starts my young adult horror hardcovers, which I have quite a few of. I'm just going to pan over these. There is Scream All Night, which was my favorite book of 2018. Here is the Cirque de Freak series and some of Darren Chan's other books. And on the bottom shelf, just a little more YA horror. Continuing on this shelf, we have the rest of my young adult horror, and then it goes into my middle grade spooky books, of which I have quite a lot. So here's a little Goosebumps Terror Tower set, which is pretty cool. I've had that since I was a kid. And then more spookiness down here. And this finishes off my middle grade horror. We are going into my science fiction section. So I have a few like pulpy science fiction books right here. And then quite a few X-Files books. A bunch more X-Files down here. And then on this bottom shelf, we have some Michael Crichton, Andy Weir, some more X-Files. I really like X-Files. Here is a Star Wars poster, Return of the Jedi, which is one of my favorite Star Wars films. I have some Star Wars books, some more adult science fiction, and then this goes into my young adult science fiction. Up here are the rest of my science fiction young adult books, and then it goes into middle grade science fiction. Here are all of my Animorphs books. And then down here I have a couple of Animorphs figurines. A couple more Animorphs books scattered around. This starts my adult fantasy section. Even more adult fantasy up here, including some pulpy fantasy books, some more fantasy hardcovers. Now we're going into my young adult fantasy books. Here is even more young adult fantasy. I have my diploma from when I graduated high school. This concludes my young adult fantasy section. And this begins my middle grade fantasy section. I really like middle grade fantasy. I just think it's really cozy.
I see everything, even what you're thinking.
Okay, and we have even more middle grade fantasy. Right here is my Salazar Slytherin Chocolate Frog card. I have a weird little mug here that has a bunch of candy in it. On this shelf I have mostly Rick Riordan books, Percy Jackson, things like that. And down here on the bottom shelf, these are actually a lot of children's picture books. I kept a lot of my Dr. Seuss books just because it's Dr. Seuss. And I have a few like spooky picture books, which I pick up at library book sales whenever I can, just because they have really nice illustrations. I really like the artwork. And this bookshelf right here is pretty much all middle grade fantasy. I have quite a lot of it actually. This is just a jar of fake spiderwebs and skulls that I made. The Aragon books, of course, Roald Dahl. Down here is like a little dragon statue thingy-majig. Some Harry Potter figurines. Pumpkin juice that I got from the Wizarding World, as well as another chocolate frog and wizarding card. It has Albus Dumbledore on it. I have a few of the Last Apprentice books. Here is my Elder Wand, as well as a bunch more middle grade fantasy. And this is actually a Harry Potter board game. I just thought it looked kind of cool sitting there on the shelf. I'm going to move this Lloyd Alexander book out of the way so you can see behind it. Here is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban audiobook on cassette tape. Yes, I still have cassette tapes. Actually, my car has a cassette player, so I do use them sometimes. This is a Disney watch that my mom got me for Christmas a couple years ago. It's very expensive, and I'm terrified to wear it because I'm afraid I'm going to break it. Here are some more Harry Potter books, some of these giant Percy Jackson books. Here's one of the little cryptids. I have a Chupacabra. Harry Potter illustrated editions, which are so nice. I really hope they continue doing the series. And then here is the bottom shelf. We have even more middle grade fantasy. This is one of those Lord of the Rings goblets that Burger King used to have years ago. And up here on the very top shelf, we have the Goosebumps Haunted Mask, which came with a t-shirt. Here's the original Animorphs board game. And then this was another Goosebumps set that came with a t-shirt and a bunch of other little Goosebumps goodies. That's from Creepy Company, I believe. And then this finishes off my middle grade fantasy section. And then we're going into my middle grade mystery. So we have like a Nancy Drew lunchbox and the thermos that goes with it. Some of the Sammy Keys books behind those. The Hardy Boys series. Here are all of the like original books. And then I have a bunch behind here that are the Hardy Boys case files and some of the newer paperbacks that have come out over the years. Just a couple more Hardy Boys books, a couple of the Applewood reprints, and then a couple of original first editions. And then we're going down into Nancy Drew territory. I love Nancy Drew. I might even like Nancy Drew more than the Hardy Boys. Have some original first editions behind all of these, and then some of the newer paperbacks. Even more Nancy Drew down here. Behind these I have some of the Nancy Drew Files books. And down here I have even more vintage middle grade mysteries. A lot of these are from the 50s and 60s. I have a little TARDIS pencil case that I put all of my Sharpies in. A series of unfortunate events. This is part of the unfortunate events series. And then more mystery back there. So there is my middle grade mystery section. Up here I have a talking crypt keeper from the early 90s. A couple of these little Universal Monsters Matchbox cars. This is Frankenstein. Over here is the Wolfman. And then over here on this shelf, I'll go ahead and jump ahead. This is the Dracula Matchbox car. This is a Funko Pop Pennywise cereal box, which is empty. The cereal was actually pretty good, not gonna lie. And then this is an original McDonald's Trick or Treat Happy Meal container, whatever you want to call it. I remember getting these when I was a kid, and I recently found one in a Halloween store for $1, so I bought it. Here we have some young adult mystery. And then here is my adult mystery section. So crime, thrillers, mysteries, anything like that. Here's some Agatha Christie. A little skull, snow globe. Here are a few books from the Franklin Mystery Collection. Those are really nice. Down here are some cozy mysteries. I have a few Ellery Queen mystery magazines right there, some Alfred Hitchcock, some Agatha Christie, pulpy paperbacks. Here are some Sue Grafton books. I got a lot of flack on my last library tour for having Sue Grafton. I think she's a really fun author. I know her books aren't great, but I think they're fun, they're entertaining, and that's all I really need. Here we have just some more mysteries. Same for Janet Ivanovich. I think she's fun. I sometimes need a fun book to curl up with, so I have them for that reason. Up here I have even more mystery books. Veronica Mars right there, one of my favorite TV shows ever. And now we're going down into just like classic fiction, literary fiction. This skull thing right here is really cool, but it is insanely bright. I don't know why it has to be that bright. Here's a little thing that my grandma got me when I was a kid years ago. And then this goes into my young adult contemporary section. So Rainbow Rowell, there's some Libba Bray, Judy Blume. These are some of my oversized fantasy and horror books that wouldn't fit anywhere else. I have a very old copy of The Invaders from that old TV show. Some more young adult contemporary books, some John Green in there, David Levithan. So there you have it. That is that whole entire wall of books. And then this shelf over here that I was talking about before, I have my Harry Potter books on top. I have the rest of my young adult contemporary books, as well as a wand from the new Fantastic Beasts movie. I bet you can't guess who this belongs to. Actually, you probably can. You're probably a nerd if you're watching this video. And don't laugh at me. I have a bunch of Sweet Valley books. I just recently started collecting these after I read Paperback Crush by Gabrielle Moss. I just thought they sounded extremely trashy and fun, so I went online and bought a ton of these, and I'm going to start reading them this year. Have a Hogwarts library, a few more Harry Potter style books. And then here are some of my middle grade, just general fiction. I didn't really know how else to categorize these. This is my diploma from the literary college that I went to. And then this wraps up the rest of my middle grade fiction. All right, and you probably think that's all, but there are a couple more things to show you. I did not look at this top shelf up here. These are all of my Goosebumps style ripoffs. So we have like Dead Time Stories, Shivers, Graveyard School, Bone Chillers, which was one of my favorites. And then up here are all of my Goosebumps books. So they go all the way across the top. I have a little Goosebumps Blob That Ate Everyone enamel pin, Goosebumps alarm clock, a ton more Goosebump books, and some more R.L. Stine, and then some other Goosebumps ripoffs. So we have the Spine Tinglers books, Fright Time. There's a Goosebumps postcard book, and then this Goosebumps hat set that comes with one of the books. All right, and you're gonna think I'm crazy. I actually do have some books that I've been stacking underneath here that I need to find room for. These are all just random nonfiction books. I was reorganizing recently and I didn't have any more room for these. So they're going to be here until I put those two shelves behind the chair there. And is that all? No. No, it is not. This is my bedroom. I also have all of my comic books in here. So we've got some Charlie Brown, Lock and Key, EC comics, some old horror comics. We have some Mad magazine, and then some DC and Marvel on the bottom, as well as Sandman and Buffy comics. And then over here next to my bed, I have all of my review books. These are all review books that I've been getting in the mail that I still need to read and review. Except for this one here on the end. That's a book that I started this year and I have not gotten a chance to finish it yet. But as you can see, I'm a little a little behind on review books. I just got a whole bunch in the mail recently, so I've got a lot to read through. And then these are all books that I am currently reading for Christmas, which by the time you see this video, I will be done with those at least. And here is one final look at my library. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this little tour. I hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas and a great New Year. Thank you so much for all the support you guys have given me this year. It has been absolutely amazing. I have gone places with my channel that I didn't think I would ever go, and it's because of you guys and all the support you give me. So thank you for that, and I hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas, and I will see you all in the new year. Later, creeps.